So we now have about 15 minutes left. So I'd like to virtually invite all of the four cohort representatives back. And we're going to open up questions. So please feel free to put in the chat any more broader questions about participation in ProPASS or anything about opportunities. So I guess, kick this off. But these questions are open for anybody to answer. So what were sort of your motivations for wanting to join and be a part of ProPASS? I won't put anyone on the spot. So any volunteers are welcome. Christina?
Yes. Well, we're struggling a lot on how to actually what algorithm to use and what are the best way to actually use these data. And I think ProPass is a very good opportunity to harmonize data and also to s- to get an idea of and what are other is what are other cohort studies doing, and what kind of algorithms are you using, because there's a lot of different ways of doing it out there. I think it's very important that we do an effort to harmonize it, especially we learning from each other's studies and comparing. If we're comparing prevalences, we need to see how is it actually been calculated. So that's one motivating factor from our side, and but we're still learning.
Great. Thanks, Christina. Any thoughts from anybody else? Lisa?
Great. Thanks, Joe. So I think that obviously it just makes the findings more powerful, in terms of if we are harmonizing data across sites representing different countries, communities, that kind of thing. I think it just makes the findings just that much more powerful. We have, limited resources. Everyone does. I mean, everyone's determined by funding. So by trying to kind of pool everything together, it makes a big impact. And for us, that was definitely one of the motivating factors. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Lisa. No questions are coming through. So yeah, I guess another question for me then. What do you think are the biggest opportunities that international consortiums like ProPass, or even thinking something like ICAD, can provide for the research into the physical movement behaviors?
I think we're probably more likely to be able to get really big grants. So perhaps by combining forces, maybe we can apply for much bigger grants. Yeah, I mean, that would be my initial thoughts. We can go to some big funders and look for some money.
Great, thanks, Lisa. I'll go to Joe next and then Christina.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say, I think also the powerful thing is being able to work with people who use different types of devices and moving to a way where we can almost be device agnostic. You don't use different types of devices across multiple time points, but still have a harmonized way of actually analyzing the data. I think that's especially because the field keeps moving so quickly. In longitudinal studies, you always have this tension of, do you just keep doing things the same way that you've always done them, or do you pick up with the freedom of, the newer devices and things that are available? So I think that's also one of the powerful things of being part of people who are facing similar problems like that with simulation, and being able to harmonize data from multiple different types of devices is very powerful.
Thanks, Joe. We'll go to Christina and then Laura.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of potential both for research but also for policy. I think for research, we can get a better data quality by combining and harmonizing data. So I think it contributes a lot to the research field. And then that also will point into policy area, because I think if we do obtain a larger and better research pile, then with just a bigger voice into policy area. So I think it really strengthens both research and policy.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would. Sorry. Yeah, I would also like to met the open science and opening our data and opening our methods after coming from, because I previously worked in the industry, working in the wearables on that side. So even though it's a great potential of using the data of the consumer devices, I think because we can't really know how the data is processed, it's so great that in these kinds of consortiums, we can really be open about what we've done with the data.
Great. Thank you all. That's really interesting to hear. I've got a question. I think we'll start with Joe, but a couple of the presentations talked about the placements of different accelerometers, and some had two or three. And so I wondered, and Joe, I'm picking you because of the shift from the other placements into the thigh-worn. So why did you decide to use thigh-worn accelerometers to measure these behaviors?
Yeah, thanks, Joe. It wasn't an easy call because it would have been a lot easier in some regard to just kind of do things the way we've done in previous level labs. So we had kind of figured out the mechanism and we knew how we needed to process the data. But one of the big pushes was obviously to join ProPASS, who at the time when we were making that decision to get the accelerometry data. And then as mentioned, to expand this data as well in the future, which is very exciting and long as well. But that was one of the key drivers in our decision. Also because we really wanted to look at the sitting time, and we've got quite a researchers who are interested in the occupational relationship between sitting and occupation. And so having the device on the thigh was one of the better places for that. The other interesting reason why we moved to the Sense device is that we had a big problem with our participants completing diaries. The young adults just weren't interested in really completing them. They would end up just writing the same information at wait times for 7 days. And it made it really unreliable. And now having it more in an app-based way, and also just the cloud processing, it's just a lot more seamless, and it appears to be a lot more buy-in from this population in terms of fitting things in on a device as opposed to pen and paper. So we'll see what happens. It was a big change, but yeah, so far so good.
Yeah, thanks for sharing those insights. I'm sure there's probably some similar reasons for the other cohorts using thigh-worn, but does anyone have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so I think, and maybe if I can use this opportunity to ask a question as well, particularly around sort of the longitudinal aspect, and obviously Joe's insights are really valuable. But we're about to go back, so we use the active PEL. It's worked really well in our cohort, also because people can't see it. So particularly in areas that may not perhaps be safe to walk around and that sort of thing, people don't want an accelerometer that's perhaps obvious to see, because then it may be valuable. But, we're in the situation now where we've collected ActiGraph and active PEL data previously on our cohort. We're going back into the field. Do we stick with what we've done before again so that we've got comparable data? Or do we move to a wrist-worn device that everybody's talking about? And I don't, obviously in an ideal world, it would be to use what we've done already and add wrist-worn activity monitor. So then we've got all three. I'm not sure that's going to work so well in our settings. So, do we stick with what we've done, or are we brave, go to activity monitors on the wrist and hope that we can compare it to our original data that we've already collected on the cohort?
Excellent question. I think the better answers on that will come tomorrow, but I guess from my perspective, it is challenging choosing the placement, and we do see where cohorts have resources that they are measuring it from different placements. So when Peter spoke about sleep, there isn't a single placement that is going to be able to accurately measure it. We need multiple monitors that is going to be able to properly capture that. I think for us, the thigh-worn accelerometer really has offered a way to capture posture that hasn't been possible with the wrist-worn. We do have some work underway where we're looking at the thigh and the wrist-worn and trying to understand sort of how comparable they are, especially when the sort of machine learning side of the data processing algorithms is improving. So how accurately that will be able to capture things like cycling, sitting, we don't know yet. But yes, I think tomorrow the better answers will come. I'm going to end with, Christina.
Sorry, that was just a quick comment. It's not related to where it's actually placed, but it's more related to how we get the device sent back to us. Because we chose the Sense device because then the data is directly sent to us, because we lose a lot of devices in the mail. So it's just saying that that's a lot of issues that actually count towards which device to choose. And this was just a choice that we did because we need as much data as possible. So it's just another perspective into that.
Thank you. Yeah, definite benefit to be able to get the data via the cloud. So yeah, last question to end on is that I know in the audience, we have some members representing cohorts that are thinking about or are interested in joining ProPASS. So what would you tell them about your experience and why it would be great to join us?
I can just.
Sorry, Joe, go for it. No, I was just going to say we are real newbies, so we don't have too much experience just yet, other than sharing kind of exactly what data we have available, even around the non-accelerometry data. So yeah, I unfortunately can't give too much info on that, but looking forward to next steps.
My response was going to be pretty similar in that, yeah, obviously we're also just joining, but the experience so far has been really good in terms of lots of supportive people and lots of, other people facing the same sort of questions that we're asking the whole time. So just in terms of just answering a community as well, I think been really, really positive, and yeah, just really excited to see where it goes.
All right, great. Thank you very much.